Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and as promised, I have with me Nolu Maki, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Nolu. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Joe. How are you?
I
I'm glad
am.
we finally did this, eh?
I know. I'm so sorry. I was saying before you came onto the show that we've been trying to do this for like a few weeks, like I think a month, maybe more. Um, but load shedding has been quite a biatch. So yeah, but finally, we are able to do this, and thank you so much for giving me your time and being patient with me as well. So yeah, I'm very excited to have this conversation with you, which is basically feminism. Is it destroying our society, or what has it done for our society, or has it done anything beneficial to our society? Any one of those topics are what we're going to talk about tonight. So it's going to be a bit spicy, I'm sure, and it's going to be a bit. Some people might get triggered, but I think it's an important discussion to have. But before we continue, Nolu, why don't you tell people who don't know who you are, in your own words?
All right, as you said, I'm Nolu, which my full name, of course, it is Onolu Tando. I am from the Eastern Cape, and right now I'm in PAL. Yeah, I tend to be in these spaces with the cool people like Joe. Other than that, I'm just Nolu.
Fantastic. You've been very vocal on Twitter with a number of things in like general topics about South Africa, and one of those things is feminism and the breakdown of the family. I've seen you on Big Daddy Liberty commenting on some of those topics as well. So I figured why not have you on and talk about some of this stuff as well as, well, specifically feminism. And I think a good place to start would be to define what is feminism. And don't worry, I have the definition by, well, it's the Oxford Dictionary definition of feminism, which is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of the equality of sexes. So basically, advocating for equality of sexes. I think they may have changed that definition. Usually, I think it was women at one point, but yeah, let's not get into that either. So, ladies, so Nolu, the question that I would like to start off with is: do you think this is a fair definition of what feminism is?
Look, Joe, when it started on a good note, like any other movement. It
Yeah.
started off as women wanting to, it was more of a strategic move for the time. By that I mean, some research is that it started off as women wanted to go, and vote, which is
Yes.
great because women were like, guys, we can use us as well to add the numbers to beat other nations.
Yes.
Sound like a noble cause and a very strategic cause to allow nations to be strong, right?
Mm.
So, fast forward to now, the definition keeps changing and it has become something which is pretty much dangerous, if I could put it like that. As well as it still has its good elements, but I think to be fair for us in Africa, of course, it has been detrimental for us. I could just start off from there.
All right, fantastic. But just to be a little bit more clear, there are four waves of feminism. The first one, as Nolu said, was at the in the well, I have it here in the 1848, between 1848 and 1920 was the first wave. Second wave was in 1963 to 1980s, and the third wave was 1990s. There's no real end because there's confusion with the third wave and the fourth wave. Nobody really knows when the third wave ended and if it at all ended, and when the fourth wave began. But each one tackled different issues. Like Nolo said, the first one was definitely the voting, which I agree, not a bad thing. Then the second wave was about workplace, and the third and the second wave kind of the same thing. Where first, I think the first came working conditions and that whole strive for equal pay. And then after that was, okay, we don't want to be disrespected in the workplace, so sexual harassment and all that stuff became was mainly in the third wave. And also in the third wave was also women being allowed to, I don't want to say flaunt their stuff, but like they can express themselves. Let me put it that way.
Can we
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, can we talk a bit in terms of those different waves, right?
Yeah.
It's particularly the one where women wanted to go back into the workspace.
Yes.
When I say go back, let me put it this way: women wanted to work out of the home.
Yes.
Because if you remember, Joe, back in the history, women always had work at home,
Yes.
right? Not just to take care of the kids. No, there was a lot that a woman did besides taking care of the kids, but it was primarily focused on her home. So now they fought to be out of the home, to be in the workforce with men. That is why I believe when we say it's the second, the third one, then, because men were not actually acclimatized with having women in their offices and all the different industries, then you found that that's where the clashes came in.
Yes.
Because obviously, I could go to a space, I remember in my high school, it was previously a boys' school. Whenever we sang our national whatever song, school song, the voices you could hear mostly it was a man's voice. For, to that as well, it meant that we were the center of the attention. Whenever there's a group of men and there's few women, you become the attention. Men love to look at women, you know? So therefore, that is why they fought for their freedom now to be accepted in that workspace, despite the fact that there was not, I'd say, a sound transition to that. Get what I mean?
Yeah.
As compared to now, if I were to go to any office right now, it's a norm for me to be in that office. But at that time, it was a bit taboo. And like anything, it's the same if, for instance, a predominantly woman's space, men would still feel a bit uncomfortable and will look at you as women. Not maybe not the same way that men look at a woman, but we would still just look at you. And some of us would desire you, you know? So I just wanted to explain that part that women always had to work, but now this time around, are working out of their homes. And then, of course, to be part of, let's say, the economy outside home.
Yes. Well, no, you explained it very well, and it's the same thing that the article says in front of me. So yeah, well, basically, those are the waves, and that's what happened throughout history, and we're condensing this extremely, guys. But I would say personally, right, that I do agree with feminism to an extent. I'm not in the fourth wave. Like, I think the fourth wave has been destructive to the feminists, to feminism itself. And if you want to try and cancel me, people go ahead. But that's my honest opinion. I think the fourth wave has really destroyed not just the previous movements of feminism, but also society in general. But I think for the most part, women being allowed to vote, being, like you just said, no longer being a taboo to go work in an office and not having to fear sexual harassment, I think that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's great, right? And equal pay and all that stuff. But there is something to be said, and I think this is what people maybe don't want to talk about, is that there's this weird shift, Nolu, that I don't know if you've seen this on social media, where women that are full-time moms, let me put it that way, housewives, are shamed, and and that for me is something that boggles my mind, because the movement itself, and this is where the fourth wave feminism gets a bit weird for me, because the movement started by equal rights. That's why I defined and I gave a definition, right? Equal rights for women, right? Which means that if a woman decides to stay home and raise the kids, that's her thing. As a woman, she's allowed to do that. Why are we now shaming them? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, you must understand, the culture of women is different, Joe. We are very influential to one another. I know men, they are as well. But then remember now, things started to change also because we're living in a world where everything is over politicized. Now we're living in a time where we are fighting against the patriarchal system, right? And this is both men and women, by the way. And we are saying that let's make system, I guess, less patriarchal, or else let's make it over feminized, as it has become or slowly becoming right now. So therefore, that's why you find that women believe that when you are at home, you then become this person who, I guess, you're behind, as well as you are the subject of the man. You are enslaved by the man. So it seems as if you're being oppressed. even though that was a decision you took as a woman with your husband, and you are quite sober when you took that decision, and there's absolutely nothing wrong for you to actually choose that. So the shaming comes because women feel that everyone was oppressed, and women, they need to be go out there, get the bag, and be the ones who are doing it for themselves, even though they are married.
Interesting. And okay, so basically, a woman's right to choose is not an option.
Yeah, because remember, the same movement in other movements, they've created this division, or rather, let me say that this war between us. The whole thing of men are bad, women are angels, and therefore women deserve anything because they've never had anything before. And that everything, it is the woman going to the workplace, being a mom, and being able to be a CEO. Do you
Yeah.
know? So now when you find another woman who's like, I don't want to do that, I'm fine. My husband can go be the one who does it for us. I just want to raise my kids, homeschool my kids, and I'm content with that. So therefore, she gets shamed if she does care for, by the way, because I don't think you should care. And then she'll be called a lot of names and all of that. And for that matter, she will be ostracized. She might not be able to be part of certain circles. But if you remember back in the day, women who had husbands, hardworking husband, they were the affluent women for that matter, and they were actually the elite of the society. Yes, even other, let's say, rather village women, they were also in villages. When they had hardworking husbands, they were seen as elite because they had all the comfort to think about, and they didn't need to work twice as hard. So now this fourth wave is saying, listen, he can be there, but girl, he might leave you. So therefore, go get the bag. And don't you dare sit for those kids and that husband. So yeah.
But this is, I
So the
think,
choice, you don't necessarily have it.
yeah, I think
You just need to do what everyone is doing.
yes. And I think this is a huge problem and has been one of the things that kind of backfired for the movement, because while yes, women should have the right, if my wife, for example, decides to leave her, I don't know, end her company or whatever, shut down her business and wants to pursue something, I'm not gonna stop her. I'm gonna be like, cool, I'll support you. We'll try and find a way to make it work. We'll figure it out. And vice versa, if she wants to, I don't know, become this big CEO in a big company or whatever, cool, I'll support her as well. But if she wants to stay home and become a housewife, I'm going to support that too. My point here is, when it comes to, that I heard you say, that some women will think that a housewife is being oppressed by the man, figuratively. Um, you know, how do we counter that narrative? How do we say, like, well, there's a personal choice here. Not just because a woman is a housewife doesn't mean that she's being oppressed by her man. Maybe in some cases, but not all cases.
Also, don't forget, Joe, right? When a woman is at home, most of the time, remember back in the day, still some families, the man is the head. He says, you know what? There's no need for you. I mean, as much as your woman has got a freedom to do whatever she wants to do, Joe, but there's certain things that you wouldn't want her to do simply because you are there. It's just the nature of a man. When you are not there, she can't do those things. So therefore, that's why you find that it then becomes difficult in that sense, because women now, they are forced to do things out of, or rather, let me just put it this way. I think I lost my train of thought. Sorry there, Joe.
No
But I
worries.
just wanted to explain this part where they hate it because they know, in most cases, let me take for instance what they call nowadays the what do they call it, a top 10 men, or the number 10 men. I forgot this it was coined by Samuels, Kevin Samuels, when he, a high value man, thank you. So the high value man can say to a woman that, you know what, you don't need to stop your career and just breed me kids and take care of the household. He can, because he has all the funds and the means, right? And then she will say yes because she's honoring what the husband is saying. So you find, therefore, that not every man, I want to emphasize that not every man has that luxury. But at the same time, if I may go back, you please try to take me back. I think I lost my train of thought, but I'll continue. At the same time, you find that even those who were not the so-called high-value men, they could still say to their woman, because it was the nature of the day at that time, and still some parts of our country still practice that. They would say that, let me be the one who brings the bacon. And you
Mm.
can do, like I said to you, work from home. Work not from home as in you're working for Sasmanbani. No, no. Work the household home.
Mm.
And what we have is going to be enough. So please, Joe, can you ask me that question again?
No worries.
I think I digressed.
No worries. You did bring up some good points there as well. But basically, and you sort of answered the question, but specifically, that narrative of the husbands oppressing the woman if the woman decides to, you know, be a housewife. How do you counter that narrative and maybe give uh, or explain to women out there that might be watching this and have encountered this kind of, you know, clash or backlash? What do you tell them? What do you say? Like, is there a way to
Yeah.
counter that
So
narrative?
remember, Joe, with us as women, I'll take it back in the day. A man will go out and hunt. The woman will be the one, and other women of the villages, because of all the men in the village, if I could use the village narrative example, they will go and hunt. So a woman will be left in the village and they will conversate. So it's the same thing if you think about it when the woman or the housewives here in Paul, when they go to Drakenstein, the new mall here, they go there, they gather, they chat, right? So what I'm going is that women will always influence one another, first and foremost, because that's where they share these ideas or that's where they talk about their lives. Now, in the time that we're living in, a woman it's taboo for her to actually have her, what can I say, to be her own woman. Despite the fact that Beyonce said that it's me, myself, and I. I'll quote Beyonce because that's the person that taught us about these ideas, especially a black woman. She said it's me, myself, and I. Yet the same Beyonce today is the one who I can say to a degree she is a housewife, but I'm not there yet. So you find that therefore it becomes difficult. But this is what I'm going to tell women tonight. We need to go back and being a woman who's able to honor what we discuss at home. And what we discuss at home, just like if I could also bring an example of Kate in the royal house, Kate can never do what she feels like doing. She honors what she's told in her house, and you can bash her all you want, but Kate is actually honoring the roles of what she is supposed to do. So much that certain women, they look up to her. So the reason I was making the earlier example, I'm trying to show a woman that there's nothing new under the sun. We've always had influence as women. We've always influenced one another for that matter. But it's up to you whether or not you want to be influenced by something that is not actually detrimental. It can be good for someone else, but it may not be good for you. So if you have a husband who says to you, this is what I'd love for us as a family. We've got this much. There's no need for you to toil as much as I do. So therefore, one of us needs to sacrifice. Because remember, Joe, I am more able to sacrifice because I need to carry kids. What do I mean? I can't drink when I am pregnant. There's certain food I can't eat. So my instinct of pregnancy tells me that I need to sacrifice for my children. Now, these days we are saying, woman, be selfish. To hell with you needing to sacrifice for your family, not for your children. So I'm saying women need to go back to what because a lot of women, they sense this, they feel this, they want to actually have what they call these days the soft life. That is why most of them, they would love to have a man who has the money because they believe for you to be a housewife, your husband need to have a lot of money, of which back in the day it was not the case. It was a matter of structuring our family, agreeing as this family, and you finding contentment in that. And the man would make sure that you are well taken off and the children are well taken off. He might not give you a Mercedes Benz nor a Porsche, but guess what? This house will actually be a warm home and these kids will be well nourished. And you will look the part as well. Might not be the same as the one next door, but you will look the part as well. So I'm saying women should go back and being the woman of their own, and what is important also to sacrifice, because at the same time, Joe, there is no ways if I'm a mother of 4 children, I'm being generous, of 2 children, I can still be able to actually say I'm gonna win and become the president. I know they hate me when I say this. Because guess what? My maternal instincts, they will limit me. The reason why women join the workplace, they're the most to cry that we are not understood. They don't want to make things to be there because guess what? Part of them do not want to be there. They want to be at home with their children. It's just the truth. And now this workspace, they need to compete with Joe. Guess what? Joe is fighting for his family. That's why he's actually being highly competitive. So now you want to go toe to toe with that kind of a guy, you will get exhausted. Again, I say it does not mean you can't pursue your dream as a woman, but I'm saying you can't have it all. It's a lie. Beyonce showed us we can't have it all. That's why she is a wife today.
That is true. No, look, you touched on a lot of interesting points. I think I'll start with the last one that you said. I think a very, I have this discussion with a few women that I know, and a lot of them tell me like women weren't built for corporate setting. Like they're not saying that women can't do it; they're just not built for it. I mean, for example, every woman has a time of the month, where things get a bit, and things are emotional in some cases. Sometimes it's very painful and they can't even come to work. So that in itself is a challenge or an obstacle to overcome for a woman. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying that it is in some cases a challenge. And I'm not saying that because women, have their periods that they're not meant to work. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that men don't experience that. We don't have to worry about that. And we're less emotional. A lot of the times women make decisions on an emotional basis. I think it's very difficult, and it takes a special kind of woman to be able to make that cutthroat decision, business making decision, like where it's like, I don't want to hear excuses, you're fired. Or I don't want to hear excuses, we're going to go with that deal. Or I don't want to hear excuses, it's this deal or not. I think some women can do it. They can, boom, it's because I've seen them and they're very intimidating women. But they got there, they got to the height of their success because they're cutthroat, because they're hard and good on them. Great. Fantastic. You made it. No hard
And
feelings.
also, George, just to interject there, they had to alter themselves to do business like a man.
Exactly.
So they needed to cut throat like a man because they wouldn't survive.
Exactly.
But deep down, she would love to be soft and tender and be able to do business like a woman. But business doesn't actually allow you to do that.
Exactly. And I think this is where that idea of patriarchy that you were talking about earlier comes into play. Where the business environment is very rough on women and it needs to be softer, and stick it to the man, show that a woman can run in a man's, you often hear women saying that they want to dominate in a man's, or no, they find it difficult to work in an environment where it's dominated by men. You often hear that. But it's funny to me because here's one thing that Jordan Peterson also mentioned, because if you watch any of his interviews, he will mention this about when it comes to feminism and the equal rights thing, right? That women are still fighting to be in work and all that stuff. And even though women right now can apply for any job they really want to, but he used the example of bricklaying, right? Bricklaying is not an easy job. Okay, that's heavy lifting. If you're pregnant, you cannot do that job. That's like a big no-no. And yet, no one's going to the bricklaying industry and saying, "Oh, why aren't there 50% women in this industry?" Because some women still choose their careers. And we're not saying that if you choose to be a CEO, like CEO of Google or whatever, that you can't do it. Of course you can do it, but there's going to be, like you said, sacrifice. And I think those sacrifices are very important to point out, because one not side effect, symptom, if you will, of this feminism is the breakdown of family. Because when you have a CEO woman that, like you just said, may want to be at home with her kids, but has to go every day to work and stressful environments and all that stuff, but has kids at home, the dad may or may not also work. But I think that brings an interesting dynamic to the family household because I think a mom being present for their family is super, super important. And both parents need to be present,
Indeed.
equally important. But now we live in a society where either both parents work, some go away for weeks on end. I later on in my years, my dad wasn't around that much. He had to travel a lot, and I missed him. That also hurt our family a little bit, and actually led to my parents divorcing. There you go, breakdown of the family. And my point is this: do you think that the example I just gave and the situation I just gave is a negative for feminism, for the movement of feminism, the breakdown of the nuclear family?
Listen, Joe, I'm glad you brought the bricklaying because it's one of the least professions we want to do as women for obvious reason. I want to make an example of my parents. My dad is or was a plumber because he retired. My mother, of course, worked for a pharmacy company. My dad had to work in different constructions around Cape Town and around the Western Cape. Yet when he came back from work, because I had an opportunity that whenever married, I had the opportunity to grow up with them, I would say with both of them, right? Not in the same house. I had a period with my mother and then I had a period with my dad. So I lived with him alone and he would go work and I could see the guy's tired, but he would come back, take a bath, make a meal for me. Now, my mother had a time where she stayed at home for some time and she went back to work when I was pretty quite, I would say, more old. And that when she went back to work, things changed at home. I loved my mom more when she was at home. I know some women be like, no, but that is wrong. No, my mom didn't come back tired and not even interested to what and how my day was, right? So she went to work and then now things changed. And then guess what? I had to grow quickly because now I needed to cook and do all of that. But the time she was at home, I would come back from school. There was a meal from me and it was more warm. She just felt great. Yes, of course, she was stressed out because of money. I get that because she was not a married woman. But then when I contrast the two in terms of strength, that's where these aha moments came back to me that how come dad works so hard but can cook me a meal and can do so much still with his strength? And mind you, my dad is like 10 years older than my mother. So I'm talking about strength here. He still had strength and the brute force that he had, that to be able to still do what my mother could never do. My mom, when she would never, unless she came back quite early. I'm just contrasting the two here, Joe. And coming back to what you were talking about, that is why you find that we don't want to actually go and do bricklaying because it's very difficult. And also, like I said, it's not glamorous. The fourth wave is saying, I want to be the president. I want to be the CEO. They aren't saying they want to work in any industry. No, they want to be at the top. That is why Jordan Peterson said, you guys just want power just as much as we want power as men. You hate us for having power for all these years. You hate us for being CEO for all these years. Yet you want the very same thing because you actually want to be like us. So for me, that's where I say that feminism, I would say to a degree, it is
Right at the Okay, I think we may have been disconnected there. I will wait to see if wow, that's breaking news right there. Elon Musk just lost the court case against Twitter. That's gonna be interesting. I need to look at that when I'm done here. I think Nolo got disconnected. I will. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Am I still live? I think I am. Um, I'm just going to tell her to call back. Like if you can. All right. Uh, disconnected. So yeah, we will wait for her to come back. I'm trying to remember where she was now. I got distracted by Zach's comment there. Um, but yeah, I know she's talking about her parents, workplace bricklaying. Oh yeah, you want to be CEOs. Um, all right. If someone can just comment and let me know if I'm still live, because I don't even know now. Um, I think I am. Looks like I'm still live. Cool. Just want to make sure it's not me. And yeah, sorry about that, guys. Sometimes this happens. Um, hold on. Okay, I'm obviously still live. He's lost the case to delay to get more info on the bots. The major case's date isn't set now. Oh, okay. So he hasn't necessarily lost. It's just been postponed. Um, okay, here we go. Here we go. Cool. Sorry.
Hey, Joe, I'm sorry about that. I think
No
it's my
worries.
internet.
No worries. All good. So you were talking
Please
about,
take me back.
yes, you were talking about your how Jordan Peters was saying that men and women want, well, women want the same power as men, actually, that they just want the same power. And you were talking about bricklaying, that it's very hard labor and stuff like that.
Yes, it's one job that women would not necessarily want to do it because it is quite sweaty. But I think there was a question you asked me. I was coming to your question. If you just repeat the question for me, Joe. I just got
Oh,
distracted there.
the question, I can't even remember now the question. um,
Okay, I'll continue. So, in that being said, I'm coming back here into this. Then for it became so difficult, of course, for my mother to survive, but my dad could. He did things my mother could not do because of strength of a woman and a man. They aren't the same. So, with that being said, that's why you find it that as women, that's where we can't necessarily balance it out in that case. And funny enough, my mother was the first one to retire than my dad because of the fact that she just got tired. And as you mentioned, of course, our body and everything, the fact that we go on our periods, it's not men, Joe, who decide that the workforce has to be brutal. It's the production. I know this because I own my own business and I work with other women. When a woman owns her business, you find that now she needs to work not harder, but you find that now the business demands certain things from her. If she needs to go and go collect the supplies in this place, that place, she also becomes much tougher because not only because she works with other men, but because the business makes her to be tougher. She wants to get things done. Same when a man is running a business or is a manager or whatever, it's that environment, or rather, it is what they're selling or the nature of capitalism, another swear word nowadays, that actually requires you to be tough or to, I would say, to be like a man, if you could put it like that. Now, woman then would say, no, how come the workplace can't be conducive to us? You can't. When I'm running my own business, even if I don't feel like it with my body, I need to show up. You know what I mean? So therefore,
Sorry, guys. I think we got disconnected again. Um, is she ever going to finish her point? Not her fault, obviously. YouTube doesn't like us being critical about feminism, you see. Oh man. All right, let's see if we can get in touch with her again. Uh there we go. All right, she's here. Um let's see if we can, I'm not seeing. Nolu, can you hear me? Ooh. Just got. Okay. Sorry, guys. Please be patient. Yeah. Nice one, Zach. All right. So basically, Elon wanted to postpone the case, and he lost that. Basically. Um, so now he has to. That's messed up. But maybe they can still. I don't know. Maybe he can still show. something. I don't know. That's a messed up situation, really. All right. Just gotta wait for my guest to come back, ladies and gentlemen. While I have you here, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. She will be back. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, and if you're enjoying the conversation, share. I will be uploading this on its own, so the 1 hour conversation on its own on my YouTube channel. So look out for it in the coming days, so you don't have to watch the whole 2 hour show. So yeah, he can still win. I think so. I think so. I'm sure he's going to get great lawyers. So yeah. All right. So let's see here. Crap. I don't know. I don't know if she is coming back or not. Messaged her to find out. But yeah. True story, man. Yeah. That's funny. Sorry, guys. And we're just getting into the good stuff too. Like, you know what I mean. I was gonna talk more about feminism and stuff. And I just think the fourth wave, and I'm not the only one who thinks this. Like, a lot of women also agree that the fourth wave is BS, and getting out of hand, and yeah, it doesn't make any more sense. I mean, I was gonna get into another topic, but if we can't make this work, maybe I'll have her on again, just to continue the conversation. My messages on WhatsApp aren't getting through to her as well, so I don't know. Okay, no, what she has seen them. Okay. She is trying to connect on a different router to get better internet. So just give her a few moments. Feminist men are the pits. Thank you, Zach. No, I think I don't even I don't know what to call myself. I just in general, I agree that women should be allowed to do whatever they want to do. Right? That's it. They want to vote, they can vote. They want to run a business, they can run a business. They want to stay at home, they can stay at home. But don't shame them because they are doing something that you, if you're another woman, think is wrong for whatever reason. Anyway, are there women that work as minors? I think there are, but they're very few. I would describe them as brave. That's what I would do. But I'll ask. Yeah. And that's where I stand on it, right? I think I do think that the nuclear family is being destroyed, but it's not just from feminism. It's from or fourth wave feminism. It's from other things as well. It's not just feminism. But yeah. Well, I definitely open doors and stuff for my wife. But I actually don't like. Actually, that's a good thing to bring up with Nolu. Let me ask her about that as well. Um, we can talk about this stuff because I like to think of myself as a chivalrous man. Okay. Um, I'll pay for dinner. I'll open the door. I'll let the woman walk first. I will even, if we're walking on a sidewalk, I'll walk closer to the road. That type of thing. Okay, Nolo is back. Let's see. Yo.
Joe, am I there?
Yes, we are live.
Oh, cause let's wrap up. Oh, let's finish up. I'm so sorry. I feel so embarrassed, Joe. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no worries, no worries. All good.
Yeah.
Listen, some of the guys, people were actually asking some questions for you for when you come back.
Sure.
So let's get into that quickly. So Valerie was asking, please ask your guest how she sees women working underground as miners.
Um, it's a choice. I wouldn't really recommend, well, for obvious reason. It's a it's a hostile environment for our body and for us.
Yeah, I
But
said,
then if you think you can, go ahead.
yeah, well, I was like, if there are women who do that, then they're brave. Like, that's how.
Indeed. Too brave.
And Zach brought up an interesting topic, with regard to feminism and stuff like that. We've seen in recent waves, I think the fourth wave mainly, this idea that, let me put it for you this way. I believe in this saying because a lot of women ask, "Where's chivalry?" And I heard it on a movie, and I agree with it 100%. Chivalry is dead, and women killed it. Because he was saying that if you open the car door for your wife, you are not a feminist man. And I do that. I open the door for my wife. I'll do all this stuff. But I remember when I was dating, and I've spoken to some male friends of mine that are single. They are nervous to be a gentleman. They're like, oh, if I open the door for her, she's gonna cuck me out or something like that. Because you get those women. They're like, I don't need a man to open the door for me. I mean, like, again, but yet they complain that there's no gentleman anymore. How do we wrap our heads around this?
Okay. I do disagree with you when you say that we've killed it. So there's this thing that men like to do, that when we are bad, men tend to be bad as well. Whereas a man is supposed to lead ideally. Just because I'm going crazy, Joe, doesn't mean you need to go crazy with me. You know. um, and I'm coming to a point here. I can also say the same thing when I am a woman who expect being a guy who loves sharing and a guy who likes to, let's say, take care of me. I can also let's say, for instance, I'm used to it because my dad actually gave it to me, hence I actually like it. But I meet a guy who's not that type of a guy. Then I would say that, men aren't men, no more. They just, men who just want to sleep with you. You would also say to me, but no, look, come on, not all men are like that. So I'm saying there are a lot of women who still would love to be treated gently by a man, and for those doors and those gestures and all of that. But then at the same time, you find that if I, as a woman who wants that, will go to a pool of men who don't care about that, I will continue being disappointed and being hurt. So to actually paint all women with the same paintbrush, I think it's unfair.
Fair
I
enough.
know I've been critical of women tonight, but let's be fair as well. Just as it's unfair for a man or for me to paint all men with the same paintbrush, that is why I hate movements such as men are trash. So when we want to fix our problems, let's also agree to the fact that the other, meaning a lot of men love how women have become now, simply because it's easy for them to get in bed with us. So there's a huge incentive, and that incentive then, that is why they wouldn't necessarily want to challenge it, or they wouldn't want to change it completely, because they know now women will be more conservative, women will now will have standards that are more sound for that matter. And a woman wouldn't want a man who's just going to say, sleep with me now. It's even better because in the white community, you might find that men still have a decency. Not that I'm making black men to be bad, but I'm just saying that in our society, it's still us mostly who do not have fathers in our homes, which tells you a lot. So when there's not a father at home, I will not have a role model, someone who's going to show me how to take care of me. My brother will not have someone to show him how to be a man. So we are both left in this limbo. Doesn't know masculinity. I do not know how to be taken care of. So that is why that you find that it's more chaotic in the black community when you compare it in the white community. How do I know this? I'm in Paul. Most people or women are married. They all have a ring. Most of them. If you go to other places in Cape Town where it's predominantly black people, it is a norm for you to find a woman who's got 2 kids with no husband. It tells you a lot, Joe. Just, I don't even need to do research as a market. I just need to watch, go to the mall this side, go to the mall that side. I'm like, clearly. And you see the chaos in that side. So where I'm going is that men still want to take care of women, be gentle to women. Women still want to be taken care of and be gentle. But then those who do not want to, it's because they don't know it. If I've never seen a man in my life, meaning growing up, saying, let's go and have this, or let's go to town, let's have some good time, obviously I will reject that. Because remember, when a woman is raised by when a woman is raised by another woman, she is more disposed to be strong because that woman will tell her, be your own woman, do this, do not trust man, fend for yourself. All of it here. Yet, however, when a woman raises a man in the black community, maybe the white they do it, she becomes more gentle to the man than me. I have to toughen up. I need to make sure that I've got 50 bags to enjoy life. He can impregnate someone. She can take that kid. He remains the child forever. I need to just be the one who always carries the household. Hence, that cycle it perpetuates. I'll get a baby as well who's a boy. I'll do the same thing to him, or to the man. So where I'm going is that our problems, or I might say that shivering is not there in the black community mostly. Let me talk about black community, Joe. Simply because women to reject it because they don't know it. I know it. I love it. Hence, till this day, I could never stand a guy who goes on a date with me with its t-shirt because my dad made sure he dresses up when we go out, Joe. He was that guy. So I'm very very much sensitive with how a man shows up for me. No, make it a point that you're coming to meet me. Just like I would, because he taught me you need to dress like a lady because we are going out now. And you know what I'm saying? All of that, I know it. And it's important. And it's one thing that I would love most women to experience. But they don't have it. So they would reject it.
It's a very valid point. You have Zach here saying, but chivalry can't be killed by men. And I think you just proved that it can. Because the man isn't there in the household. And that is a huge problem in South Africa is there's no family unit, no solid family unit. And like you said, the cycle just keeps on going. And in some cases, and not all, but some, unfortunately, the mother might feel a bit of resentment towards the man and feed the negative energy onto the daughter. And then the daughter ends up hating men. And only falling for gangsters or men that mistreat her because she never had a father figure around. It opens a whole new can of worms, if I can put it that way, which we can also talk about for over an hour. So just getting back, but that's a very, very valid point, and I would agree with you on that. And I think just to get it back to the chivalry discussion as well, it's very interesting that there is that side, though. There is that group of women, like you said, not all women, but some women who are that type of woman that will say, I don't need a man to do it for me. Even though a man is like, I was raised, you should provide, you should open the door, let a woman walk first, all that stuff. And I have experienced once a woman that told me, like, don't open the door for me. And I found that as a very weird concept for me. It's like, I'm just being nice. But it seems like feminism, or the fourth wave feminism specifically, has ingrained in women that if a man opens a door, this shows that a man just wants to take control of your life and is going to dominate you and oppress you, and don't walk through that door.
And if I might say to the gents who don't have wives yet, don't if when she's those are the telltale signs of what you need to fight against or what you have to yeah, it's like you it's a mountain, a very insurmountable mountain that you need to fight with whenever you go on a date with her. You know, the beauty nowadays is that we have a lot to say as women and we've got platforms to say them on. For instance, in the US, I was surprised that AOC is engaged. I was like thinking, oh Lord, ooh, which man? But hey, she is. So, where am I going, Joe? A young woman who's got the same mindset as AOC would believe that I can still get a man. When our society stop incentivizing a misbehavior, that's when we can get better, both for that matter, man and woman. The very same woman would say men are trash, blah, blah, blah. They're the ones who actually really sell their bodies too, and they do it in the most sophisticated way nowadays. At least back in the day, we knew that you needed to go and be a prostitute, but these days, they do it in the most elegant way. So they are crying, but at the same time incentivizing the behavior of men to think that the only thing that they want from a woman is sex. Both sides here that you can see that this woman, she I wouldn't say she hates men. She has a misunderstanding of the role of a man, so much that she wants to fight you at every length. Now I say, if you think you can fight a woman, ask Adam how did he go. He couldn't, because obviously some people be like, no, religious people if they will. You could never fight a naked woman, can you? Never. So I'm just saying that it's even more difficult, even when we're discussing things, and I'm hell bent in the cult, because I feel like it's a cult of feminism. I don't think you will win. Maybe you might win some, but it will be very difficult for you. Because remember, as women, like I showed you, that the men will go back and chat with our friends. There's a pool of people there that I need to go and get some validation from. Just like a man, maybe if you guys meet together and you talk about your families, but men don't talk as we do. So when I go back there and I'm like, so how is he treating you? No, he did. They're like, what? He did what? No ways. Don't even allow him. This is a telltale sign for me, friend. So used to do this, so therefore he will do that. So I'm saying to you, she might be okay with you, or she might be, say might submissive to you, but then her pedos, her friends said, no, don't even think about it. So she'll keep changing because of that group of friends there. So where I'm going is that just pick the one that will work for you, both men and women for that matter, because there are some men who are highly feminized, and they believe in this movement and they want you to be that kind of a woman and you're just not. So therefore, I'd say don't go for that kind of a man. So, yeah, I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you did, and I wanted to
But
bring up.
digress.
No, and I wanted to bring up okay, so I might get a bit of flack for this, but I think to some extent those softer men, and I'm talking about straight men, those ones that kind of, I don't know, the if I can call them the house fathers, what's it? Because you got also house
Yeah, you become a
husband, house husband.
yeah, house
The
husband.
the ones that are submissive to their wives. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them appear to be weak to me, and also I get the impression that the woman is dating the man or married to the man in some cases, because that man is safe. Because how there are people, because this is both female and male, this happens, where the person is like the nicest person and will literally bow down to your every move and be there for you no matter what, and almost has no spine. Even when they're doing something that you've asked them to do that they don't want to do, they'll do it because they think it makes you happy and all that stuff, and they'll sacrifice their happiness to make you happy. So there's situations like that, and I feel that seeing a man that is in that situation, I ask myself, are we breeding more men like that in the future? I know we can go back to the parent situation in the same way, but then we have to look at the parent situation. But isn't this also maybe, just maybe, a symptom or, another issue when it comes to the fourth wave feminism, that the men, the next generation of men are becoming weaker in a sense.
True. Listen, Joe. There's a thing with men, right? When another man is doing great things, you honor that man, right? You give credence to that
Yeah.
man. Now, the reason women want so much power, it's because they believe that that man will give them that same reverence or that same honor they give other men when they're doing great things. Now, you are shutting their ego, meaning woman, when you tell her that I don't care about your money. Let's start from there. Because if those women that you're talking about who want to date the home husband or marry a home husband, if they believe they had so much power, then why do they need to dangle their accolades and what they have? So I said to you, remember, women have become men and men become more like women. Because in my culture, not even my culture, but it's a thing that is said that ubuhle bendoda zinkomo zakhe, meaning the beauty of a man, it's his cows. That's why we don't necessarily care. A man is not meant to be pretty. I need to be pretty. Where am I going about this? Now, the culture nowadays, a man loves to worship a woman who has the bag. That's where the first problem is. Now you suddenly give her I guess it's their way of feeling better about themselves, those men, because it's supposed to be you who has that bag. And then now she has it, and you couldn't get yourself there with all the strength, all the energy that you have. That is actually twice as hers, by the way. And she got there. So therefore, that is why you find that she then becomes the man in that household. Now, when we talk about if we are breeding more men like that, I would say yes, because those men, they are worshiping women who actually are the ones who are the carrier of these bags. And by the way, what that man doesn't know, when that woman goes to that business and meets a man who's higher than her, she submits. She submits. There's this new movie called Woman King. I like that trailer. Before she goes to war, I believe, she first asks for permission from a man. I believe that man has got more power. I'm yet to watch the movie if I am interested for that matter. When a man has power, she is to a degree bound to be submissive because he has the keys. And in that is why she wouldn't even dare expect that man to kiss the ground that she's walking on by taking him from there and allowing her to stay at home. And I don't think there's any sound. Or rather, I can't fathom in my mind how does a man get to that stage? You get what I mean? Unless that man maybe is Elon Musk and he's taking a break, you know? I'm just saying from making money and he has a lot of money, and saying, you know what, I'm just taking a break. I just want to raise my children. But Elon Musk is still he's still the head of the household because it's Elon Musk. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I mean here? But for you as a man to submit yourself, that I've seen these men mentally, psychologically, it breaks them down.
It does.
It's Joe, it's sad to watch. I know in where I grew up, there was a man who was like that, married to this woman. We don't remember that father being the one who worked for years. She worked for a short period of time and stopped. And he was so feminine, so, soft. But for me, that it was just telling. And when we grew up, other boys would be like, I don't want to be like him. Not because he was mistreated, but the way he conducted himself and the way then he would spend more time with women, in the community, and doing what his wife is supposed to do. So I just can't imagine it for any man, but I do see it. And it's something which I can foresee that a lot of men would want to do it because, like I said, they want to worship the bag of a woman.
Yeah, and I
Because
think
I'm okay
also,
with her making more money and you still going to work as a man. It's
yes.
okay. Just go to work
Yeah.
for your own sanity and you doing what you were actually created to do.
No, exactly. And I think in some cases, again, we're not going to blanket everyone, but in some cases, I think also the man is just lazy. Like there are
Yep.
men that are lazy and they're okay to just, sit on the couch and like do the dishes and be the house husband. And that's cool. That's fine. I guess you won in a way, but it's just like you were saying earlier, women, even if they're a CEO of Google, want to be softer and they want to be at home raising the kids. Same thing for a man. A man wants to be the provider. They need to feel that sense of providing. Like when we go back in history, and the men are the one that went out to hunt the mammoths and all that stuff. Like, you know, they're the ones that took the spears and went to war and stuff like that, because they were the protectors and the providers. And I think that is still ingrained in our DNA till this day. And even if you're a man that claims, oh, but I like being a house husband and it's rewarding and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. There might be some of that that's true. Just like a woman who's a CEO says it's rewarding and has a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. But deep down inside, there are moments when you're sitting in front of that TV, or you're sitting in that boardroom or looking at that PC, where you think to yourself for just a moment, man, I wish I could be home with the kids, or man, I wish I could bring home the bacon once.
Yep, yep. And I think more than that, he wishes he can gain that respect or get the respect from his wife. You know, that when remember also the reason why when men want to provide, they like to be heroes. That is why you have the Marvel characters that back there, because you love to be a hero. You know, that's how
Yeah.
you guys are designed. Of course, nowadays we also are told of fate that we should also be heroes or sheroes, whatever you call it as women. But it's not necessarily our thing. We don't like that. We wanna be saved. I want the Superman to come and save me deep down
Yes.
in the core. And again, I say, even the way things are marketed to us as women now, they are changing that completely. They are saying that that's not what we want, you know, all of that, which is a lie. And that is why people like your Chimamandas, they're the ones who made this fashionable, you know. And she was coming from a good place when she said that everyone should be a feminist. That title of the book alone tells you a lot. But at the same time, she was a woman who was saying everyone should be a feminist whilst she had a ring on her finger. Meaning she can't do those things because maybe her husband is very supportive to her. But then now, a woman who doesn't have that ring on the finger, she needs to fend for herself. She's making her to be more now difficult and more strong and hard to be compliant. You know, not compliant per se, but to be cooperative, because nothing works if you don't cooperate to one another. There's no business that flourishes if you don't cooperate to our vision. And what's a vision? Maybe to have a prosperous home. So it's people like her who have, I'd say, some women who took it too far because they were listening to her, forgetting that, listen, she has a ring on her finger and she can, I would say, flourish as she has flourished. Because if truly women didn't need men, then why a lot of them? Why is it that if you research right now, Joe, who's the most richest woman in the world? The first one on that list is going to be Oprah. Oprah today, she's wearing a ring. Even though she's got all the money in the world. You know, she is married. Eventually, she married the guy. I know there was that long relationship, you know,
Yes.
a very sweet old man. You know, she married him because she knew that later on in her life, everything when the glitz and glamour are done and her strength doesn't allow her to do all of that thing, she wants someone to chat with and sit on her porch outside and have a good conversation and laugh with. And a lot of men also, they resorted to be like the wife or the husband of Oprah. Not to shine, but allow her to shine. All of that kind of stuff. Let me not go too far. But at the same time, at least you find that she is still married, you know. And that's what I'm saying, that yeah, Chimamanda did a lot of knock in us, especially in Africa, because she tried to disband all the teachings that we were taught. She is arguing that a girl child is not allowed to be sexual when it compares to the boy child. So she was like, done with that. Go out and be sexual just as this boy child is sexual. Now look at what it has done today in Africa alone, you know, and look at how, especially in South Africa, how women are refusing to even these days. Joe, I can have all the money, yet at the same time, I can subject a man and say to him, "I want a baby from you, but you're not going to be part of his or her life because my money give me that power to say that."
Yeah.
So now women now are made to believe that they can truly outsource all of the manly things and tell a man this is how I want it and how this is how you're going to do it. Again, I have a strange suspicion that I've digressed from your question, but
No,
yeah.
no, no. Not at all. I think this all falls under everything, the main title anyway. And I think something else I wanted to bring up very quickly, because basically you have this situation in feminism, or at least the fourth wave feminism, where again, going back to the housewife, and the reason why a housewife shouldn't be a housewife is, she must be able to fend for herself, and rely on yourself and be strong and all that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna use an example. It's a bit of an personal example, but I'm sure there's other examples in this world of it, and it will prove why it's important for a woman to, or rather, I should say, it's important for the family nucleus. Rather, let me put it that way. Because okay, so the example I'm going to use is actually my mother-in-law. She's a very strong woman, in my opinion, right? She did work when she was younger. She had a job and all that stuff, and then eventually, when she had kids, she stopped working to take care of the kids, and the dad provided. Okay. Now, unfortunately, my father-in-law passed recently, and my mother-in-law, um, you know, a modern feminist now would have been like, see, you should have like continued working, and you should have done this, and you should have done that, because then you wouldn't be alone right now, and you could fend for yourself, and blah blah. But it is the children, those three lovely daughters of hers, that were there for her until now. The entire family, for that matter, supported her in the passing of her husband, where she didn't lift a finger for anything. The family came together and arranged the funeral plans, made sure that she's okay, made sure that her home was now safe, because there's no man there to protect her. So there was things done in the home to protect her, and until today, the family is taking care of her, and we don't mind. We love it. We want to. And I think that is where the importance of the family nucleus is so important, because even though a woman may not necessarily be able to fend for herself, the family that she has created and kept together is what is going to be there to support her in the future. And that is why the breakdown of the nucleus family is very dangerous.
True. And remember, Joe, that, as a woman, you also do bring security, but not the same security as a man. You bring
Yes.
stability.
Yes.
That is why, for the life of me, I can never stand a woman who is out there when she is a mother, because my mother modeled that stability. Yes, she had to go and work, I get it, but she was always home. For instance, children love it when they go and play and come back and see you. Let's start from there. And they want to see mom most of the time. I know it. I love it. I want to see her all the time. And then even when children have grown, they take that. So they now dependable children, because mom was also dependable. Mom now can also be able, for instance, your mother-in-law depend on her children, and you can also depend on your wife because she's taught that. Now, the other way around, Lord, you can't even be dependable as a woman because you are busy, I would say busy with other men, all of that, all of the things that we do. And then that is why you find that we are the most generation, I believe, that is paying a lot of money to psychologists and therapists.
Yep.
Despite the fact that we have more financially, by the way, to compare to other women, or to compare to the other generation, because all of that, I always tell men when they told me that, no, I like a girl who's out there. I'm like, there's no woman who can do all of that stuff and still be well here. The way we are created, Joe, it's so funny. For a man, sexuality for you, I believe it doesn't necessarily start here. I need to tell this brain and everything else that let's do this now. It different, more emotional, and everything needs to work. The smell and everything. Hey, a lot has to go in there for me. When you compare to the man, right? Talks to my partner. I'm like, why? Just why you can just not me? I need to program my mind. Now, when I need, when I need now to change, alter myself, and to be exactly like the man, obviously there's going to be breakdown in my brain. Obviously, I'm going to be depressed. Even to the woman who doesn't necessarily sleep around, when you have to fend for yourself, Joe, as a woman, you will go to therapy and all the other things. The feeling I used to have whenever my dad was around, I can never take it away because a man brings that. The fact that I can go to a shop with him and just know dad is going to pay feels good. And then when you also are able to experience that, even when a partner or a husband does that for you and you do not object it, because you know that when a man is around and he's sound and he works very hard, it feels so good. And it is something which I believe most women want. So where I'm going is that I'm saying to you, it's a mom who helps children to be stable and give them stability so that they can practice that in their own homes.
Yes.
It's difficult for a woman to be that if the mother did not model that for her. Thus, it would be difficult for her also to just be at home. Hence, you just want to either she'd want to work too hard because she doesn't understand that, or she'd be out there partying, whatever the case might be, despite the fact that she's married and needs to be at home. So yeah.
No, absolutely, and I 100% agree with that. Women, I think, are, and again, men and women are a very important part of the nucleus family, and a man needs to be present just as much as a woman needs to be present because both parties bring valuable characteristics and traits to a child to help them become a member of society, basically. And I know, like we said, we don't want to blanket everything. There are very successful people who grew up with one parent, whatever, yes, they do exist. And kudos to that parent for making it work, because that's also tough. But still, that parent could have had an easier time had that other parent been there. I don't think there's
Can
any.
I
Yeah, go
can
ahead.
I interject, Joe, here that this thing is so bad, Joe, that most black men, as a woman, I can be working, for instance, a low-paying job, and that men might not have a job, right?
Yeah.
Most black men, it's a norm for them not to be part of the children's lives, simply because they don't have money. Because remember, most black men believe that their only provision is money. I know it's important, but you find that they can't have, they don't want to show up simply because they don't have the money. What do I mean about that? At times, you might not be well financially as a man, but you could be the one who's actually. There was this child in my community, Joe, where I was before. That guy wasn't working. I don't know what happened to her mom. I think her mom passed away. I don't know, but that kid is raised by the dad. There was never a day, Joe, where that baby was actually not fed, not looking beautiful, despite that her dad was working. Also, it's also to contrast that to women who are earning the SASA grant, a lot of them. Whenever it's that time and they got the money, the kids were not well taken care of. They were drinking, they were doing a lot of things. What I'm showing is that that man, his present to that baby is more valuable, despite the fact that he doesn't have the money. So I'm talking now to the black community because a lot of them, they want to run away because you know what? Our community taught us that a man just needs to have money if he wants to be the dad. He can be the one who takes the baby to the clinic and all of those things that he needs to do with the time that he has for now. And one thing I know, when the man is given the responsibility about for his children, it fuels him even further to go and do something about the fact that he doesn't have the money. But when you remove that from him, then now you are making him now to be, first of all, to be lost, and he can just do whatever he feels like doing. You're removing that responsibility from him. But when you give him that responsibility, also that role to play, it also keep him sane, because it helps us, both of us, to be parents. It helps us to be sane. You can tell your friends that I need to go home. I can't drink all this time of children to go to. You get what I'm saying here? You can't be loose like before. So our black communities, I would love for them to really give men a chance to be a dad, even though he might not have the same amount of money as the woman. Even give him the chance as well to play that role so that that girl can embrace or that boy can embrace his dad, even if he has the money or not. And that man can actually feel the need to go and make money because he's got children to feed. When we don't have that in our brains, in our communities, that is why we are falling apart. I know we aren't married. I get that we don't marry as we used to before, but men are lost, Joe, because it can't be part of their children's lives in our black communities. So for me, that's one part. And of course, those of us who have the chance, we just need to go and just get married, especially in the black community, because that's where we get both of us sanity and a direction.
I would probably like to have a discussion with you about the black community and marriage and the role of a man and maybe tackle a bit why men aren't present in that community. But I'm gonna open it for a panel discussion. So it'll be maybe me, you, and Dumo or Koketso and somebody else maybe. We'll see. I'll see who's available. But I think that'll make a very interesting conversation because I think we'll say things that hopefully other people might find useful and interesting and maybe start getting some ideas going, which is conversations I like to have. So if you're keen, we'll do that. And speaking of
Sure.
which, we're pretty much end of the show. And I'm going to wrap things up by asking you the just short, yes or no, feminism, has it destroyed our society?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think some of our examples tonight would prove why and explain why. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Nolu, thank you so much for giving me an hour or just over an hour of
Thank you
your
for the
time.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll definitely be in contact with you about that other discussion. I'll tag some people on Twitter and see who's interested, and then we'll take it from there. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you can follow Nolu on Twitter. Her link is in the description below, so please go give her a follow. Nolu, once again, thank you so
Can I
much.
do a plug?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a podcast channel on YouTube, and it's called the Nolu Maki podcast and all other podcast platforms. But I'll talk about it more as the time goes. I'm just busy building it right now. But it's already there. I
Okay.
do have some videos.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I didn't know that. Otherwise, I would have linked it in the description below. But
It's
I'll
okay.
I'll
No worries.
I'll link it. Send me a link, and then I'll link it after we're done here. Okay.
Sure, I'll do that, Joe. Thank you so much, man, for
All
your
right.
time.
Yeah. Thank you, Nolo. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Cheers.